Alrighty, today I'd like to do some fight commentary, specifically on sparring with unusual weapons or mixed weapons, stuff that you don't see very often. And this is going to be videos from different channels. Not all of it is HEMA, by the way, and maybe different experience levels, etc. Just something that caught my eye when looking for specific weapons and seeing what kinds of sparring pops up. Of course, I'm going to link them all in the description down below, and also, as always, I encourage you to go look at the videos by themselves. All right, so here we've got Billhook versus Shield and Sickle. Now, if that's not unusual, I don't know what is. Let's see what happened there with the thrust. I love what they did here with the portraits that kind of light up when damage is taken. That's a great idea. So I don't know if this was a missed thrust or if that was intentional to hook the shield. And in the process, I'm guessing the hook on the backside got the head. That's where the damage comes in. So left fighter is pulling in, trying to control the shield, but the right fighter is moving in. So at that point, you can see the billhook is pulled up, trying to disengage it and come back around to defend. But it looks like... Now, this is not counted. I want to say it looks like the sickle hits the hand there, but because it's not counted as a hit, maybe not. Maybe it just hit the haft instead of the hand. Either way, great effort closing in there and not being deterred by the shield getting hooked and controlled. You just, if that happens, you just rush him because you know that at the same time the polearm is also tied up with your shield. So that's the best time to run forward and try to strike. So there was an initial thrust to the leg that was defended, and then fantastic job there parrying the thrust to the leg, like going nice and low with the shield, which you have to with a strapped shield that has a limited diameter, and then just covering. Sickle goes in, and that's that. Shield and Sickle is doing a great job here, which is generally, I would say, at a disadvantage because it's not a particularly large shield, and of course the Sickle has pitiful reach. It's only a little more than unarmed. Turtling up there with the shield. The shield could not fully control the haft there. It's just on the side. It's easy for it to slide off. So that's where the billhook goes down on the arm, actually. But then the hook on the other side, as the blade is turned, the hook kind of digs into the neck. Yikes. Also nice that the polearm fighter keeps moving instead of just being like, well, I got you. That looked like the sickle fighter got a little tripped up there. That footwork is a little unconventional, as it happens in sparring sometimes. Important thing is to just keep moving and not fall over. So there you go.
Alex is doing good.
Okay. Man, that back spike is doing a lot of work here, isn't it? It seems like that's what's hitting again. Or maybe not. I think the hook is actually in front of the leg. Either way, good defense there. You know, despite the sickle being in contact. Yeah. Bonk. That looks like a committed strike would have absolutely gotten the head. That was just a light tap. You do have to be careful, of course, with polearms and sparring. They can easily knock someone out if you hit too hard. Oh, there we go. So after the strike to the head, immediately going low, which is smart, and moving backward at the same time, boom, there's the thrust. Oh, there we go. Good effort to close in and bring the much shorter weapon to bear. That's where the sickle is quite useful because it can bind up a lot better due to the curvature. The opponent's weapon is not as likely to just slip off. So, yeah, I guess there is a strike to the leg. Yeah. It's not enough to stop it, although I suppose even if you hit with the haft of the polearm, if you think about how much more mass a real polearm has with a steel blade at the end, even striking someone with the haft in the ankle like that, that might be enough to break it or otherwise cause damage and hinder the movement going forward. But I love this. The sickle got the haft caught there. The problem here, of course, is everything is wrapped up. Like the pole arm is trapped, but worse, both the shield and the sickle are completely trapped. Like the sickle in particular, there's no way you can get it out. It's completely stuck. And so what happens here is all the pole arm user's got to do is pull it back and boom. That's when the bottom horn of the blade digs in. Okay, next up, Scythe versus dual hook swords. Also, quite unusual. Bit of an odd choice to thrust with the Scythe, particularly against two weapons that defend so well. I'm not sure what that was supposed to do. Probably just fluster the opponent to then strike after that, but instead, the hook swords are going right forward, and here the Scythe almost got in for a moment. You see, it untangles, rises up, and is trying to get there. In fact, it looks like the Scythe blade is going right past the head, so this was almost a hit. It's a bit hard to see. Good call here to pull the Scythe low, but it should have attacked then. Like, instead of trying to defend against it, it would have been better to keep running backward, disengage the Scythe, and then come in with an undercut. Alright, better. There we go. Yep, that's it. Thrusting with a sickle can definitely be useful to keep the opponent away. Just shove them, basically. Like, it's not going to do damage, but you can control the distance and try to shove them away. I mean, there was even contact. You know, the Scythe is shoved into the thigh there, but of course not enough to stop the attack. So there you go. Just move backward, and there it comes in. This is where the Scythe is very difficult to defend against. If you want to catch the haft of it, it needs to be really high up because there is that much blade going way past the haft. Okay, that's not something I would recommend. Bunny hop into Scythe strike. Now, does the Scythe blade actually hit the head? I can't quite tell. If it doesn't, then it's over. Yeah, I mean, nice attempt to control with the butt end of the haft there, but that probably goes to the hook swords. Not entirely sure, but that's what it looks like to me. Oh, devious. That was actually pretty well concealed too. Like, you can't immediately tell that the hook swords are being connected there to fling forward. That was fantastic. I like that. And also nice quick reaction. So the Scythe just about parries. Although, no, actually it doesn't. It doesn't actually. The Scythe is just a little bit behind, but the head movement is what gets it there. Because, like, if you look, the head is here. That's what the fighter on the right is aiming for. Moving back is what saves it, because that would have absolutely connected otherwise. And the Scythe was just a little too late. Also interesting to see how long the two hook swords stay together. They really only fall off right at the end. In fact, only when the Scythe successfully makes contact. Yeah, knocks it, and that's where the second hook sword falls off. And then, boom, that's where the... Oh, wait, it's not actually hitting, is it? I mean, hitting the hand. I guess the hand is kind of deflecting it from the body, which is not the worst. But then again, it probably hits the leg. Yeah, either way, that goes to the scythe. Oh, nice. The hook is actually latched onto the haft there. Not that it helps in this case. If you just pull there, particularly in between the hands, that's not really going to do a whole lot. But it's interesting that that's an option, right? And then so, oh, you're kind of helping that hit. Like you're pulling on the side, just goes, okay, if that's what you want, it just comes forward, boom. I don't know what the battle plan was there. Like coming forward like this, that's absolutely in favor of the hook swords. You really don't want to, you pretty much want to avoid them entirely when you're fighting with a polearm against that. That's my reasoning at least. Because at this point, there is really nothing you can do. The hook swords are still able to do things. I mean, there is a kind of a strike with the butt end against the body that's not really going to do a whole lot. So, yeah, definitely. You can see here on the right side, the hook sword in the right hand is striking with that sharpened guard. Oh! That was a good one. Whether it's targeting like the side of your body or the leg, it's really hard to see here. So, fighter on the left is parrying high, because that's exactly what it looks like, up until here, and then boom. Perfect. Like, this is exactly how the scythe needs to connect, and then, just pulling, and it's over. Why would you fling yourself at a really solid defense with those weapons? What you really need to do in this scenario is feints. Like feint high, attack low, or low high. Maybe even create a pattern. Like go high twice with the scythe while being very careful to maintain distance. And then when that's what the opponent expects, you do a little twitch high, and then you go low and hit the legs or even the side of the body. That would work a whole lot better. Or even feint on the left side or on the right side and then go left. This is a bit of a downside that I see of using the hook swords like that. Basically, as soon as you've got that, now you're forced to keep them moving, right? Because otherwise it'll fall down. So that's a lot more predictable, because like the opponent can see you have to maintain the circular movement, right? So you can time that and move in as soon as it passes, because then you see, oh, now it's going to have to do a full revolution before it can threaten you again. And that's almost what's happening here. The Sickle fighter is hesitating here for a moment, like just really committing and moving forward there. That would have taken the round, which is hard to see sometimes. Sometimes you think, oh, I got it. Oh, wait, maybe I don't got it. Yes, if you misjudge the timing, you might get the swing that's coming around right in your face. But yeah, that's perfect. That's exactly what you want. Either evade it and then interrupt as the swing comes around, or time it to catch it, because then the second hook sword is going to fall down. Now you only have to deal with one weapon. Comes in, boom. Chop down, it's done. Now we've got scythe versus longsword. Look at how long that is. Oh. That was just committed, going in, just, yep, I'm just going to tag you. See what you could do about that. The longsword fighter tried to defend, but the timing was just ever so slightly off. You see how close that was. That blade was just a tad too soon. And then, boom, there goes the scythe. Good attempt at sniping the left hand there, but you can see just pulled in time. And then immediately counter. Oh, look at how long this is. If this had been aligned, that would have already been a hit. But it was just a little too far off left and missed. So there's contact with the sword, but Sickle is being pulled away immediately. Comes back. Oh, beautiful. I love it. Feint. This was not fully committed. Either was a feint to begin with, or it was pulled the moment that the defense happened. Deflecting the sword blade with the butt end of the haft, and then thrusting to the face. Beautiful. Yeah, good use of the butt end. Yeah, that's all you need sometimes. With swords, quite often you need to do a whole lot of shenanigans. You know, feints and misdirections and changing your intent with the polearm. Sometimes literally all you need is just commit to it. Just go in, chop down, done. Especially in this case, it's really hard to defend. Because, like, look at how soon the point arrives. It's crazy, right? You know, normally, if this was a regular polearm without the blade mounted perpendicular, right? So if this was a war scythe, for example, the blade would be here. The blade would still be far away from the body. But because this is more like an oversized war pick, the point is already finding its mark long before. So this is really hard to time to defend against. Oh, that was a bold little Reaper sweep to the leg. Nice quick reaction there. Oh, look at how close that is. Very good reaction by the longsword fighter. Now, this could have been more efficient by just pulling the leg in, but I totally get this. Oh crap, you know, jumping back basically, then you know you're safe. But the downside is, particularly when you have the shorter weapon, you're at a reach disadvantage. Going all the way back means it takes so much longer to then move forward and get into your reach. This is already too late. Like the Scythe is already back on track and can attack now. So, which is why that advance stops there, because, you know, longsword fighter realizes, well, I can't make it without being threatened by the Scythe now. Look at how devious that was. Sneaky. So, trying to hook the leg there, just a little too far away, right? The defense was mistimed, which is very easy to do. And then, so the longsword fighter is on the right track here, keeping the sword low to try to create a barrier toward the outside, because if you keep the scythe, or really any weapon, on the outside, you're good, right? But scythe fighter is like, nah, you can't have that. So just pulling it up, and the scythe blade is catching the face. Now, it looks like this is with a flat. How nasty of a weapon this is and how hard it is to defend. Now, it looks like the scythe is going into the forearm. Yeah, it's rough. That's the thing, you know, you can make an argument that, well, the war scythe is the actual weapon, right? Whereas this, you know, agricultural scythe, well, the blade mounted perpendicular was the point. But this is already more weaponized because it's not curved, you know, unlike agricultural scythes. It doesn't have extra handles. This is already a weapon version of it. But this is really more like I said, kind of like a large two-handed war pick. Ah, there we go. Strike comes in to the leg. And remember what I said just earlier. Minimum defensive action. Watch that. The leg is just being pulled back in a passing step without jumping back all the way. And immediately coming back forward, extending the sword, boom, there it is. So I'm not sure if that thrust landed. It might have, but then this strike probably did. That's all it takes. You just gotta come forward, Very hard to defend against. How do you even defend against it? Basically, you can't parry the haft, you have to parry the blade, which is a lot trickier. This makes perfect sense against another polearm. You know, if this was a war scythe, this defense would have absolutely worked. But because this is a traditional scythe, so to speak, I mean, it's not actually a valid hit, in all fairness, because it's just coming down flat, slapping the head, but this may be enough for a follow-up. Sneaky. This approach here, it's basically kind of running diagonally almost past the opponent, or that's a trajectory at least, and then just tagging from the side. Pretty sneaky. Oh, and it goes right into the upper body too. Okay, one more. Sickle versus shortsword. This is also an interesting combination. Okay, sickle fighter's keeping moving the entire time. Nice and evasive too. Okay. Well, this is one of those cases that's kind of hard to say how well you would be able to pull that off. Grabbing the blade is shown in historical manuscripts. It depends on what kind of blade it is, how sharp it is, obviously, and also what the defender does. If you twist it in the hand, it can be very difficult to hold on to. I do think you would have a better chance of grabbing the sword blade here than the sickle. Grabbing the sickle, like with how strongly curved it is, no way. Like just any kind of tug or twist or whatever is absolutely going to destroy the hand. With one exception, holding onto the spine, because it's not sharpened there. And I do remember an instance in our own sparring where I did hold on to that. It's not easy, but that's a chance you have. So that's a little hard to say. Oh, that was a good one. That's all you need. You know, because in this case, the reach advantage absolutely goes to the short sword. As you can see, just like, boom, just... Now, the sickle gets the leg afterwards, which is kind of comical. Would you be able to complete that? Questionable. You know, a hit to the head, of course, there's always a chance of just straight up being knocked out, even if it doesn't cut that deeply into the head. Definitely a dangerous hit either way. Looks like the sickle snipe to the hand was not successful. Oh, in fact, you know what? That sound, pretty sure that sound is the sword coming down on the hand. So that's already a hit, and then it's followed up by a thrust to the face. Flawless. Very nicely done. Oh, interesting. That looks like an open hand deflection against the flat of the sword blade. Yeah. Quite like to see that. So slapping the blade aside and then coming in for sickle strike to the arm. And that's it. All right, both nice and cautious here. Keep moving. So the thrust is intercepted by the sickle blade. Wait, it's still hitting. It looks like the blade is flexing. A little bit, maybe not. No, I think the thrust is still hitting. Now, realistically, the scythe might be taking that hand off before the thrust really has a chance to follow through. Very nice defensive use of the offhand there. I'd like to see that. Both of them. Oh, we almost got something there. That was nice grab there. Not so much grab, more like pushing against the hand of the sword to keep it away, but the sickle is just a little too short. Another slap there. Very interesting dynamics here. Now, thrusting, of course, is what the Sickle can't do. Alright, hope you found this commentary interesting. As said, do check out the links to the original videos and watch them by themselves. And let me know if you want to see more fight commentary. Thanks for watching and take care, folks.